Good morning from Mission Control Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room. At this hour, the 43-foot-long, 22.5-ton Nauka Multipurpose Laboratory Module is on course and headed for its final approach for its docking to the International Outpost's Russian segment 8 days after its launch from the Baikonur Cosmondrome in Kazakhstan. Nauka is scheduled to dock to the Earth-facing port of the Zvezda service module at 8:25 a.m. Central Time, 9:25 a.m. Eastern Time, completing a long journey to the station over the past 8 days, a long journey enabling Russian flight controllers to perform thorough checks of the new module's propulsion and navigation systems, as well as overseeing the undocking of the Pirs Docking Compartment this past Monday that cleared the docking port for Nauka's arrival. We'll talk about the chronology of the last week's events in just a moment. Meanwhile, here in Mission Control in Houston, the Orbit 2 team of flight controllers is on duty at this hour, led by Flight Director Greg Whitney. Whitney, who is the second from the right on your screen as you look at him talking to Flight Director Chloe Mehring, is presiding over this team. He is the lead NASA flight director for MLM operations, Mehring, one of the new flight directors selected by NASA. To their right is veteran astronaut Drew Morgan, who will be talking directly to the space station crew during the course of the day. The center of activity today is taking place across the ocean, however, at the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Korolyov outside of Moscow, where Russian flight controllers, including a team of Nauka specialists, are monitoring the module's systems in the home stretch of its trip to the orbital outpost. The rendezvous so far is going by the book. A series of so-called impulse burns, small thruster firings on the laboratory module, have taken place over the course of the past hour to fine-tune Nauka's procession towards its docking port on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station. The module's core's automated rendezvous system has been activated and is communicating well with a comparable system on the Zvezda service module. Inside Zvezda, cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov have activated the telerobotically operated rendezvous system, the Toru system, that they will be operating in the unlikely event there would be a problem with the core system. They would take over manual control of the flying of Nauka for its docking to the station. Otherwise, Nauka would automatically dock to the docking port on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment. The International Space Station is currently flying 258 statute miles over the South Pacific, about to begin a southwest and northeasterly track that will carry it across the southern Atlantic and the west coast of Africa a short time from now. Just to bring you up to speed on some of the updated times for activities between now and the scheduled docking of Nauka 51 minutes from now. At 7:59 a.m. Central Time, 8:59 a.m. Eastern Time, the module will begin an automated fly-around of the International Space Station at a distance of about 405 meters, a 115-degree fly-around that will position Nauka directly underneath the docking port on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station. About 10 minutes later, they'll put the brakes on. This is an automatic sequence, computer controlled. The huge module will begin a brief period of station keeping to allow Russian flight controllers to monitor its alignment and all of its systems at a distance of about 203 meters from its docking port. Once the Russian flight control team is happy with what they see, the commands will be given to resume final approach. And again, docking is scheduled at the moment with an updated docking time of 8:25 a.m. Central, 9:25 a.m. Eastern Time. A few minutes thereafter, hooks will close to form a hard mate between Nauka and the International Space Station. Its long journey will be at an end. The cosmonauts on board the station, Novitsky and Dubrov, will spend the next several hours after docking conducting leak checks at the docking interface between the International Space Station and the newly arrived module before they open hatches to the spacecraft later today. Nauka is going to serve a variety of purposes over the course of its lifetime at the International Space Station. It will provide, in certain circumstances, role control and attitude control of the station. It will enable a propellant transfer capability between Progress vehicles and both the Zvezda service module and the Zarya module's propulsion systems. It will serve as a docking port for Soyuz crewed vehicles and uncrewed Progress resupply vehicles. It will provide a docking capability for a new module called the Node module, named Prichal, that will arrive at the International Space Station later this year. And it will be equipped with a robotic arm, courtesy of the European Space Agency, the ERA, or European Robotic Arm, that will serve for both external payload activities as well as other maintenance activities on the Russian segment of the station. It will provide an additional crew quarters for sleeping capability for crew members on board the station, an additional toilet, and an additional electron oxygen generation system. And as we mentioned, it will serve as an airlock for future Russian spacewalks out of the International Space Station. In fact, the first pair of spacewalks to begin the outfitting of Nauka are planned for early September, September 2nd and 8th, respectively, the first of what could be up to 11 excursions by Russian cosmonauts to outfit this new module over the course of the next several months.
Oleg? Yes?
Олег, можно выдавать команду?
That's my name.
Значит, на метке 9 километров, которая ниже. На стороне 67, шаг 11.
At 9-kilometer range mark, you are go to send command per page 67. And the time has already been provided to you. We'd like you to send that command as specified at the time that it's specified for. Copy. I remember VRTS, RODF, display for a communication system. Copy.
Through a translator, Russian flight controllers, they're in Korolyov at the huge Russian Mission Control Center for space station operations, talking to Oleg Novitsky in the Zvezda service module. And again, he and Pyotr Dubrov are situated at a control panel. Basically, it's a control panel with a joystick that is called the Toru panel, the telerobotically operated rendezvous panel, that they would employ in the unlikely event a problem would occur with the Corps' automated rendezvous system. However, Corps was activated a short time ago and locked on to the comparable system on the Zvezda service module, basically bouncing range and rate of closure data between the two systems to update Nauka's navigation systems as it closes in for its final approach. We're about 21 minutes away from the beginning of a fly-around by the new module of the International Space Station.
I have sent the command to activate VHF-2 duplex. Copy. And then we're going to select channel 3 on the comm panel.
The journey of the Nauka Multipurpose Laboratory Module began 8 days ago, back on July 21st, with its launch 30 minutes before sunset in the Central Asian desert at the Baikonur Cosmondrome in Kazakhstan, atop a Proton M rocket. It was about a 10-minute journey from the launch pad to its preliminary orbit on the 3-stage Proton, which delivered Nauka into a precise orbit to begin a stair-step approach with a series of engine firings over the course of the past week to match the altitude of the International Space Station and put it in a position for this final phase of the rendezvous prior to docking.
Copy that, Oleg.
And I'll keep this activity open until I actually make that transition in, or put those books into the MLM.
Mark, we see your crew note, and that all sounds great.
With Nauka on its way this past Monday, the operation to clear the docking port began on the Russian segment of the station as the ISS Progress 77 cargo craft attached to the Pirs Docking Compartment that had been a staple item on the International Space Station for the past 20 years undocked from that Earth-facing port, backed away from the International Space Station over the course of the next 3 hours, and then executed a 17.5-minute deorbit burn to send both the Progress and the Pirs into a destructive entry over the Pacific Ocean. So that port is cleared. There was a robotic camera survey of the docking port to ensure that all the seals on that docking port that had housed Pirs for the past 2 decades were clean, that there was no debris, and as a result, the Russian flight control team decided no further action in the form of a contingency spacewalk would be required to clean that docking port prior to the Multipurpose Laboratory Module arriving for its expected docking coming up in about 43 minutes.
Oleg, you can check the overlay with the electronic crosshairs. Copy.
And now from an external camera on the Nauka Multipurpose Laboratory Module, a good view of the International Space Station. This coming through external cameras on the new laboratory. And you can see in the lower left-hand corner the distance that Nauka is from the International Space Station, just under 10 kilometers, and the rate of closure at 5.8 meters per second. That rate of closure will slow to a glacial 1/10 of a meter per second right before contact and capture with the docking port on the Earth-facing side of the Zvezda service module. Here in Mission Control in Houston, Flight Director Greg Whitney is several minutes away from going around the room conducting a final poll of his flight controllers to get a go for docking. All of the space station systems are in excellent shape as the Expedition 65 crew, led by Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Aki Hoshide, who is the commander of the International Space Station, are going about their other chores for the day, scientific experiments and maintenance work, while the 2 cosmonauts that are part of the Expedition 65 crew, Novitsky and Dubrov, are otherwise occupied watching the approach of Nauka for its docking coming up in about 41 minutes. The Multipurpose Laboratory Module has conducted burns today, rendezvous maneuvers to fine-tune its path to the International Space Station using both its main engine and thrusters. There will be several impulse burns as Nauka closes in on the station over the course of the next half hour. Those will be employed by the small thrusters on the module. And again, after docking and the retraction of the docking probe on Nauka to basically pull the docking interfaces tightly together, The initiation of the closing of hooks on both sides of the docking interface will take place. That it will require about 9 minutes of operation to make sure the hooks are closed. Once a hard mate is achieved, then Novitsky and Dubidov can begin the process of conducting leak checks on the station side of the docking interface before they open hatches to the brand new module later this morning. Tomorrow, the crew is expected to complete the reconfiguration of Nauka's propulsion system and then begin the checkout of a number of its internal systems over the course of the next few weeks. And again, they are scheduled to conduct the first 2 spacewalks, Novitsky and Dubidov, on September 2nd and September 8th to begin the outfitting of the brand new module. The first of those spacewalks, Russian spacewalk number 49, as it will be known, is to reconfigure its power systems and to hook up Ethernet connections in the Multipurpose Laboratory Module from the Zvezda service module and begin the deployment of its crew quarters. After the second of the spacewalks, there'll be a TV system activation, and the Core's Zvezda system, the automated rendezvous system, will be connected permanently to the Multipurpose Laboratory Module through a series of antennas.
But you're not MCC. No, we are MCC. It's just that we are not authorized yet until the specialists say so. Copy.
Nauka now just 8 kilometers away from the International Space Station, closing at a rate of just over 8 meters per second. The International Space Station in the field of view. And again, this is an external camera view, an engineering overlay camera view from the Multipurpose Laboratory Module as it closes in for its final port of call at the International Space Station's Russian segment. Well, this activity is underway down at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Preparations are underway for tomorrow's scheduled launch of an Atlas V rocket to send the Boeing Starliner spacecraft on an unpiloted test flight, the orbital flight test number 2, to the International Space Station. Launch time tomorrow is scheduled at 2:53 p.m. Eastern Time, with NASA TV coverage scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Docking to the station, to the forward port of the Harmony module of the International Space Station, is expected on Saturday.
Station Moscow on base to ground 1. Oleg or Peter, please activate a recording of video streaming from MPEG 2. That's complete, Tatiana. Thank you, Peter. Moscow Station for Toro. Go ahead. Oleg, go ahead for Moscow. Did we already complete Impulse 4 burn or not yet?
Четвертый импульс еще не было, Олег.
No, we have not.
Импульса еще не было.
Impulse 4 burn has not happened yet. Copy.
Дальность 6-150, скорость минус 10.
Импульс принято.
Range is 6,150 meters, and range rate is 10 meters per second. Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston as we watch Nauka continuing to close in on the International Space Station, now almost 5.5 kilometers away from the complex. The crew on board the station involved in a potpourri of activities, most notably by the Russian cosmonauts who are carefully watching all of the data coming in on their control panels in the Zvezda service module, watching the range and rate of closure by the new laboratory module on the station. They are poised to take over manual control of the flying of Nauka should that become necessary in the unlikely event the Corps' automated rendezvous system would encounter a problem.
Олег,
Oleg on Space Ground 1. Go ahead. The trajectory is different from predicted trajectory. That's what I sort of gathered. So we're still standing by for Impulse 4 burn to occur. Range is 5 kilometers. Range rate is 10.5 meters per second. Copy.
Дальность 3,8, скорость минус
3.8 kilometer range. Range rate 10.73 meters per second. Copy, Oleg.
пошел разворот на торможение, так что все нормально.
Oleg, we are performing retrograde maneuver, so we're going to get back on the right trajectory.
Ну, захват есть, поэтому все нормально.
We're still locked on with the Corps So it should get much better, and we should get better alignment. Right, and right now the camera is blurred, so I can barely see any parameters. Copy. And also, Oleg, please prepare to start the timer as soon as the retrograde burn is complete. At the end of the retrograde maneuver, I will start the timer.
This is Mission Control Houston. Russian flight controllers sending commands to Nauka for a retrograde burn, basically a brief braking maneuver to compensate for a slight perturbation in the approach angle that the module was making towards the International Space Station. It still has good telemetry and good lock-on through the core's automated rendezvous system at this point.
The timer has been started.
And that retrograde burn or braking maneuver is complete. The Russian flight control team believes this will improve the approach angle by the laboratory to the International Space Station.
Reverse maneuver is in progress. Copy.
And Nauka is currently maneuvering now to the right orientation to resume its approach.
Guys, we completed the burn and we are back to our regularly scheduled trajectory, so no worries. Oleg, you can send the TOR activation command and start the TOR test. Copy. When you perform the test, please provide continuous commentary. TOR is on from the STS display.
That call indicating that the telerobotically operated rendezvous system called the Toru system has been activated. It's not yet being used. The core's automated rendezvous system still in play to guide Nauka to its final destination. And again, a slight perturbation in its trajectory toward the station was negated by a retrograde burn. The Russian flight controllers now believe that Nauka is in the right orientation and the right trajectory for its approach for a fly around of the station.
Configuration command is on, and the LEDs are on. VPS initial is set, and rotational hand controller is in operational position. I'm ready to perform the RHC test. Copy. And we started another retrograde burn, and there was no response to any of the hand controller inputs. Copy. I'll extend down on further TOR testing until we're finished with this retrograde burn. Standing down. Oleg, we lost video, so your commentary will be very important. Okay. I'm standing by for thruster activation. DKS thrusters are on. Copy. Let us know meters per second later. 2.46 meters per second for Delta V. And reverse maneuver has started. Copy. That's what we expected.
This is Fish on 2 for MLM docking prep.
Go ahead, Aki.
Hey, Drew, just want to report all USOS crew are in position for the MLM docking.
Okay, copy, Aki. Thanks for the heads up. They are currently in the middle of Impulse 5.
Oleg, we're not getting the image. Please report. Oh, well, nothing to report yet. Copy. I'm ready for the rotational hand controller test. Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. In the Zvezda service module, cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov are testing the Toru telerobotically operated rendezvous system in the event they will need it. So far, the Corps' automated rendezvous system continues to guide Nauka towards its destination for docking to the International Space Station. Now that its course has been slightly tweaked and corrected to fine-tune its approach to the station, a series of thruster firings are underway.
To the right. Indicators are not illuminated. Copy. Counterclockwise indicators are not illuminated. Copy. Clockwise indicators are not illuminated. So in this last set of testing, the indicators were not illuminated. How copy? And now, do I have your go for translational hand controller testing, or we have to stand by some more? Oh, no, you go ahead. Up. The indicators on the edge are illuminated. Down. The indicators that are on both edges are both sides illuminated. In the middle, no. To the left, the middle indicators are not illuminated. To the right, the middle indicators are not illuminated. The side indicators are illuminated. Pulling towards me, the same, and pulling away from me. The indicators on the sides are not illuminated. The indicators...
Nauka continuing to fire its engines and thrusters in small impulse burns, as they are called.
May I use AGC mode at this time because the image is very dark. Stand by, please. The station image is in the bottom of the screen, and we can see the solar arrays. Moscow, how do you read me? We read you. Oleg, stand by. Now 560 meters range, 560, and closing rate 2.1. So you may perform step 11.3. Command test. Okay, copy 11.3. Test and acquisition and execution of commands from the panel. And I activated Rabota and BPS initial. Copy. And AGC mode on. Copy. Command for AGC mode is not going through. Copy. And do you have the indicator mark in the top corner? No. Работа indicators are illuminated only on the sides. Do you have any messages? Number 91. Alex, in 4.5 minutes we will have a ground site for MLM, and we will do another set for Toro. So did you say AGC mode command, did it go through? No, it did not. Copy. And I sent this command again, and we have a range 350 and 11.2. And the image is very dark.
This is Mission Control Houston. The Multipurpose Laboratory Module about to pass within range of Russian ground stations so that Russian flight controllers there in the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow can evaluate the data from the spacecraft as it is under 1,000 meters away from the International Space Station.
And we have a range of 314 and closing rate 0.7. And please continue reporting, continue voicing it down, because we do not have any video image either right now. 290 for range and closing rate 0.7. And the image is very dark. Alex, let's continue. Please do not forget to report to us. Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. Based on the range by the data that has been received and the rate of closure, Nauka should be in its fly around of the International Space Station as we stand by for another attempt at a tour route test of the telerobotically operated rendezvous system by cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov in the Zvezda service module.
Copy.
Правильно понимаю,
248 for range now. Copy. Did you copy? And please look on the right side of the page. 623.3. I reported. Copy.
We're standing by for regaining video over Russian ground stations from Nauka and any video from external cameras on the International Space Station.
35. Range 226, closing rate 0.27. Copy. And reserve 621.2. We are getting the video image now.
Video now of the International Space Station from Nauka, 217 meters away.
Range 217, closing rate 0.15, and reserve 619.7.
We're standing by for another test of the Taurus system, just in case it would be needed.
Range 213, closing rate 0.11, and reserve 617.
The Multipurpose Laboratory Module is in its fly-around of the station.
So, BPS initial now, please. And monitor the power. And now I'm proceeding with the translational hand controller test. Down. No indicators illuminated. To the left. Indicators not illuminated. Copy. To the right. Indicators not illuminated. Copy. Counterclockwise. Indicators not illuminated. Clockwise. Indicators not.
There's our first view of the Multipurpose Laboratory Module from external cameras on the International Space Station.
Now proceeding to translational hand controller test. Copy. Up. Only the indicators on the sides are illuminated. Down. Indicators on the sides only are illuminated. To the left, the same. Neutral. Indicators illuminated. To the right. Only the neutral indicators are illuminated. Pulling towards me. Only indicators on the side. Pulling away from me. Only the indicators on the side. Test of the translational hand controller is complete. Let us go back to 11.3, step 11.3 again. Copy, in work.
We're still trying to, we think it's still trying to acquire.
BPS initial.
We'll keep working, keep looking.
Работа was already on. We did not turn it off.
We did have it, and then it went.
And AGC mode, command.
Okay, copy. Thanks for the additional info.
And please deactivate the работа or function. Copy. And the AGC command did not go through. Copy that. Range 200. Rate 0.05. And we do not have a video image again, so please continue your reporting. Now roll and executing the roll, and I do not observe the solar arrays. Copy.
Station Houston on 2 for Aki.
And the station is going by vertically.
Assuming you were talking about SSC-12 there in the lab, would you mind checking SSC-13 and node 2, see if you see it?
Now to the left. Copy. And Alec? On the BPS panel, do you have Работа deactivated? Yes, and I did report that. The function or Работа is deactivated. Range 195.
external camera view, but it's looking at Earth and the other.
Rate 0.04. Reserve 568. Oleg, please press that button again to deactivate the Работа or function switch. Repeat, please. Please press the button.
This is Mission Control Houston at a distance of 190 meters away from the International Space Station. Nauka's docking mechanism has now been powered up, and reports from the Russian Mission Control Center indicate that it has now been commanded for final approach.
How copy? Okay, then turn it back on and then turn it off, the Работа or function switch. And I do not deactivate the BPS исходный. Okay, now I activated the Работа or function switch and the indicators on the sides are illuminated. Copy. And now I turned it off and indicators are not illuminated.
Range is 188. Range rate minus 0.01 and resources 561.3. Copy.
That MLM is station keeping and everything's looking great.
Copy. Thanks.
This is Mission Control in Houston. Russian flight controllers say that they're go for final approach. The Multipurpose Laboratory Module, approximately 188 meters away, closing at a rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second.
Range is 188.
So far, everything continuing to go fairly close to the pre-planned rendezvous procedures. The MLM Nauka is locked in to the docking port on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station.
Final approach. Confirmed. DPS activation. Confirmed.
Here in the flight control room at Mission Control in Houston, Flight Director Greg Whitney has indicated that we are go for docking as MLM slowly inches its way towards its final destination at the International Space Station.
Minus 0.8. Copy. The docking node is 1 square below. Copy.
Station Houston on 2, we have pulled go and MLM is on 5.
The image is really dark. I can just see the outlines of FGB. Range is 154. Range rate is minus 0.8. Copy. Docking node is in the center and the target is to the left by 1 square. Copy. Range is 135. Range rate is minus 0.8 and resource is 544. We copy. Range is 121.
The Multipurpose Laboratory Module, just over 100 meters away from the station, its navigation system performing normally through the Core's automated rendezvous system, closing at a rate of about 0.6 of a meter per second.
BPS initial or исходная has been sent. Operation, all LEDs are illuminated, all 4 of them. Copy. And it did work. Copy. And look at the VKU screen in the right-hand corner.
The International Space Station and the Multipurpose Laboratory Module flying 260 miles over western Kazakhstan.
and range rate is minus 0.5. Let's see if the image improves.
For SSC video,
I'm trying.
unfortunately, we're not.
And 5.
Pirs has locked into the docking port that was occupied by the Pirs Docking Compartment for the past 20 years until this past Monday, when the unpiloted Progress 77 cargo craft departed the station attached to Pirs. The two spacecraft then deorbited to plummet into the Pacific Ocean, opening up this port for the arrival of the brand new Nauka module.
Source is 535. The target is in the center of the periscope. Copy.
Unfortunately, we don't have KU right now, so we're not able to point cameras.
Range is 70. Range rate is minus 0.32, and the resource is 533. Oleg, you can deactivate operation, Rabota. Operation is off. And once you reach the 30-meter mark, range is minus 0.25, and the resource is 532. Read it back to me. Activate Rabota at 30 meters again, and then you will be working for page 72. We copy. We will activate Rabota operation again at the 30-meter mark.
We believe that we have a camera trained.
And we'll be working for page 72.
Exactly.
Range is 49.
KU, we'll try to sweeten that up.
The resource is 530, and range rate is minus 0.18. And we copy. We'll be working for page 72. We copy all.
Behind it, but the torch is blocking it.
Range is 47. Range rate is minus 0.18, and 530 is the resource. The crosshairs are aligned, and the target is in the center of the...
Still moving towards its final destination on the Corps' automated rendezvous system. Now just about 40 meters separating Nauka from the International Space Station, closing at a rate of just over 1/10 of a meter per second.
The range is 45. Range rate is minus 0.18.
The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control, Tom Erkenswick, reporting nominal performance from Nauka.
Copy. Range is 40. Range is minus 0.14. 528, 527 is the resource, and the crosshairs are aligned. We copy. Range is 36. Minus 0.14 is the range rate, and the target is 1 square to the left, 1 square down. Copy.
Closing in on 30 meters away from the station. Nauka's automated rendezvous system is adjusting its path for the final few meters prior to contact and capture.
Abort with plus X has been activated, just in case. And then, how do you copy? We copy. Range is 25. And looking at the ruler, the range rate is minus 0.1. The resource is 527, and we're almost 1 square to the top of the center of the target. We copy.
Multipurpose Laboratory Module, 43 feet long, 22.5 tons of mass, flying over southern Russia.
Range
27 meters away.
is 22 based on the ruler. The range rate is minus 0.1. The resource is 527, and the target is off by less than a square. Copy.
On the right of your screen is the Soyuz spacecraft that carried Oleg Novitsky, Pyotr Dubirov, and Mark Vande Hei to the International Space Station back in April as the newest component of the orbital outpost closes in for its contact and capture with the complex.
We copy. The target is in the center and the crosshairs are aligned. Copy. Everything's good, guys. We copy. We copy. That's everything's good. Oleg. We are at 31 around, like, so use floodlight just in case.
We see it on the camera, thanks.
We didn't copy, Vladimir Alexeyevich. We didn't copy your last range. We're entering the, we're losing light. Yura, are you seeing the image? Yes, we are. The target is
15 meters separating Nauka from the station.
Range is about 10 meters. The target is a little bit going off to the side. Copy. Range is 0.09. Oleg. Let's switch to the Toro mode. Copy. We are sending PUBPS initial. Stand by, Oleg.
And for the final few meters, Oleg Novitsky taking over manual control of the flying of Nauka.
Initial command. Range is about 10 meters. Copy. Range rate is minus 0.08. The crosshairs are aligned. Range is 6 meters.
6 meters now. Novitsky flying the Nauka Multipurpose Laboratory Module in for its docking.
Range is 5 meters. The target is in the center, and the crosshairs are aligned, and the range rate is minus 0.08. We copy. Range is 4. And the misalignment is unintelligible. We copy.
Standing by for contact and capture.
We are losing the image. The range is 3 meters. Copy. Range rate is minus 0.1. The target is in the center. The crosshairs are aligned. Copy. Range is 0.1. We're standing by for contact. And once you get the contact and please deactivate. Once you confirm contact, please deactivate PUBPS. Copy.
Contact and capture. Docking confirmed at 8:29 a.m. Central Time. Nauka has been a long time coming, but has now pulled into port at the International Space Station.
Congratulations. That was not an easy docking. We have deactivated the manual control mode. Copy. Oleg? Retraction.
Docking occurring again at 8:29 a.m. Central Time, 9:29 a.m. Eastern Time, as the International Space Station and Nauka flew 260 miles over the border between Mongolia and China.
We copy.
The next step will be the start of the retraction of the docking probe to bring the two docking interfaces between Nauka and the Zvezda service module into a firm handshake with one another to initiate the closing of the hooks on both sides of the docking interface. And the docking probe is now retracting. Once again, 8 days after its launch from the Baikonur Cosmondrome in Kazakhstan, a new module has arrived at the International Space Station. The 22.5-ton Nauka Multipurpose Laboratory Module has reached its destination on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station. We're standing by for the completion of the retraction of the docking probe and the initiation of the closing of the hooks to form a hard mate. The docking probe has completed its retraction, and we now have hooks driving on both sides of the docking interface to form a hard mate. Once that is completed, over the next 3 hours or so, Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov will conduct leak checks on the station side of the docking interface on the nadir or Earth-facing side of the Zvezda service module, prior to the opening of the hatch to Nauka for the first time later this morning. To recap, the Nauka Multipurpose Laboratory Module docked to the International Space Station about 5 minutes ago at 8:29 a.m. Central Time, 9:29 a.m. Eastern Time, as it and the International Space Station flew over the border of Mongolia and China, completing an 8-day journey for Nauka. Hooks are now driving to form a hard mate between the newly arrived module and the international outpost. Oleg Novitsky, one of the 2 Russian cosmonauts, part of the Expedition 65 crew, took over manual flying of Nauka to dampen out some perturbations in the alignment of the forward docking probe with the docking port on the Earth-facing side of Zvezda for the last few meters of travel, and did so expertly as Nauka hit the mark and arrived right on the money at its docking port. Nauka executed an automated rendezvous up to that point of about 5 meters or so away from the station, at which point Novitsky took over control of the flying of the module for the final few meters with the telerobotically operated rendezvous system and completed its journey for its docking. We now have received confirmation that hooks have been closed on both sides of the docking interface between Nauka and the Zvezda service module, so we have a hard mate. Leak checks now to follow over the course of the next 3 hours. With the arrival of the Nauka Multipurpose Laboratory Module at the International Space Station, the orbital outpost now has a mass of 973,687 pounds.
Go ahead, Moscow.
So the brand new module that will serve as a docking port for multiple vehicles, as well as an airlock and a laboratory for scientific research, has now been added to the International Space Station 8 days after its launch from the Baikonur Cosmondrome.
I am activating BPS initial. Copy, the command has been sent. Operation is on. Copy. I am sending the command to deactivate the manual control mode one more time. Copy. Pulse mode. Translational hand controller has not been deactivated. Has not been activated. Skip that. Copy. Control TV command. And then the image from MLM has disappeared. And then symbol, Mac, SSC monitors. I am deactivating send commands. Command has been sent. Outermost LEDs are illuminated, and we are transitioning to the backup receiver. Copy. The floodlight is not illuminated. Copy. Operation, and then middle LEDs are illuminated. And yes, it is possible. It's okay. I sent PU-BPS initial command. Copy. Retreat plus X not illuminated. Breakaway enabled is not illuminated. We copy. Network is off. Power supply to hand controllers is off. Transmit is off. Copy. And I am deactivating the transmit from panel 1. Copy. Copy. And I'm switching to SM BRTK display. Copy. And then server is off. Command sent, and I confirm that it is off. We copy. SM BRTK STTS. That's the display that we're using. We copy. And I am sending the command to deactivate the VHF backup RCVR to off. We copy.
This is Mission Control Houston, here in the Flight Control Room. Flight Director Greg Whitney and his team of Orbit 2 flight controllers watching over the post-docking operations involving their Russian counterparts at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow.
And
Nauka docked to the Earth-facing port of the Zvezda service module about 14 minutes ago at 8:29 a.m. Central Time, 9:29 a.m. Eastern Time, as the International Space Station and the Multipurpose Laboratory Module flew 258 statute miles over the border of Mongolia and China. A few minutes later, the docking probe on Nauka retracted to pull the two docking interfaces flush against one another, enabling hooks on both sides of the docking interface to close to form a hard mate. With that having been completed, Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov, the two cosmonauts who are part of the Expedition 65 crew on board the station, began to work the initial phase of powering down the telerobotically operated rendezvous system, the manual system that Novitsky took over control of to fly Nauka in the final few meters of its approach for docking, so that it could have a precise alignment with the docking port. Up to that point, it had flown precisely for most of the rendezvous through the Corps' automated rendezvous system. Leak checks now will be performed over the next few hours by Novitsky and Dubrov. The propulsion system on the Multipurpose Laboratory Module will be placed into a safe configuration later today and again tomorrow to wrap up work with the MLM. Its systems will be checked out over the course of the next few weeks as Novitsky and Dubidov prepare for the first pair of what could be up to 11 spacewalks over the next several months to begin outfitting Nauka and preparing it for operational activities in the months and years ahead. The Multipurpose Laboratory Module, again, will serve as a docking port for both piloted Soyuz and unpiloted Progress vehicles, soon to also receive a module called the Node Module, named Prichal, that will provide a multi-port docking area for approaching and arriving Russian vehicles. It also will carry the capability to serve as an airlock for Russian-based spacewalks, which are currently being conducted out of the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. Nauka carries additional crew quarters, an additional toilet, another electron oxygen generation system, and will provide attitude control and role control capability for the International Space Station. So a brand new module has been added to the station. Its mass now over 973,000 pounds as it continues to orbit the Earth, approaching some 23 years of operation. With that, we'll wrap up our coverage for today. Nauka safely at the International Space Station following its 8 days of travel following its launch from the Baikonur Cosmondrome in Kazakhstan back on July 21st. One programming note, next up, as work almost never ends at the International Space Station, will be tomorrow's scheduled launch of Boeing's Starliner spacecraft for the Commercial Crew Program on an unpiloted orbital flight test number 2, as it is called, a 24-hour rendezvous from the launch pad at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida to the forward docking port of the Harmony module, with docking scheduled on Saturday, July 31st. Launch coverage tomorrow from the Kennedy Space Center and the Johnson Space Center begins at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for a launch at 2:53 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, Friday, July 30th. With that, we'll wrap up our coverage for today. Nauka, safely at the International Space Station. This is Mission Control, Houston.